We on the record in cause number 326178, the state of Texas versus Quentin Nicholas Bloodworth. Bloodworth, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Bloodworth, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bloodworth, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Bloodworth?
Doing all right.
That's good. Mr. Bloodworth, I have before me an information that states that on or about December 19 of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, you was charged with a Class B misdemeanor offense of prostitution. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Bloodworth, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bloodworth, I have before me the misdemeanor plea admonishment on page 2 of this document, Mr. Bloodworth. Well, first of all, let me show you the document. Mr. Bloodworth, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, Mr. Bloodworth, are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page of this same document, page 3, is that your signature at the top of here?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is a trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, Mr. Bloodworth, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature down here?
Yes, sir.
Now, there are 2 boxes that's checked at the top up here. The first box says that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box says that you're waiving, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Did we have the discovery certification? Mr. Bloodworth, I have another document here that is titled the discovery certification.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bloodworth, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Bynum, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
Now, just for the record, your attorney on record in this case is Mr. Bruce Smith, is that correct? Now, Mr. Bruce Smith is unable to be here this morning, and Mr. Bynum is standing in for Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any objections to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's see if now, prior to signing and initiating these documents, did you understand everything in the documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State, I have before me state's exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer states 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections, Mr. Bynum?
No objection.
Okay, no objection. State's exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Bynum, you have advised and counseled Mr. Bloodworth. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Bloodworth, your attorney, Mr. Bynum has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bloodworth, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of guilty and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain case?
Yes, Your Honor. And it's for 1 year deferred adjudication,
Okay, 1 year, okay.
a $500 fine,
$500 fine, okay.
80 hours community service,
Okay,
complete the what's called Sex Buyers Transformation and Restoration Program. It's also known as the STAR program. And his attorney was provided with the web address for that program. Complete the,
okay. Okay,
complete the online HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention class with a certificate. And his attorney was also provided with the information for that course.
Okay,
Access or viewing of pornography is prohibited. Accessing dating websites is prohibited. And the defendant's cell phone is subject to inspection by probation.
okay. Now you say accessing, viewing of pornography is prohibited?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I don't see that in this judgment. Okay. And now could you read, okay, so he's gonna complete the STAR program, right?
Correct.
The online HIV/AIDS awareness program,
Correct.
access to viewing pornography is, let's see, is prohibited. And then access to dating websites is prohibited.
Correct.
Right. Now, I
And
see there's something about a cell phone.
correct. His cell phone would be subject to inspection by probation for the enforcement of those previous provisions.
Okay. Do you have that judgment? The judgment with the access to dating?
Yeah, I'm just adding up.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, now, Mr. Bloodworth, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. And during this probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $292. So that comes to a total of $792. You'll also be required to pay probation fees of $60. And your total monthly expenses of the probation fees, fines, costs, comes to a total of $150 per month. Will you be able to pay the $150 per month over the 1 year probationary period?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. And you will be required to complete the STAR program. You would have to complete an online HIV/AIDS awareness program. And you will also be required, you cannot have any access. It's still not in here. Access to any access to any dating websites is prohibited. And access and viewing of pornography is also prohibited. And your cell phone is subject to be inspected by the probation office, or
Yes, sir.
probation officer. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you've entered into with the state. Please stand over here on the X in front of the clerk.